Welcome to In the News with Double O Des. I'm Des Bernardo, giving you my perspective on news from South Africa and the rest of the world. In the news now, I bring you a story that many of you might be interested in. And like I said, all the news stories I do relates to the New World Order, opposition to them, and people taking their own freedom into their own hands. Now, that might have various consequences, some good, some bad. So it all depends on the way the coin falls, and we will normally see in history how things unfold as the evidence presents itself. In this article now, it's in News 24, and it's obviously something that News 24, when they drive something, then it means that the government wants this highlighted. Okay, so COVID-19, Mbalula urges taxi industry to reconsider decision to break lockdown laws. Now, firstly, it's not lockdown laws, it's lockdown regulations. They're not Schedule 1 offences, none of them are, because we are not in a state of emergency, Mr. Mbalula. So, you are wrong. Stop fear-mongering the people. Don't stop calling it laws. It's regulations. You can go and get a permit at any magistrate that will allow you to bring in an income, and the magistrate will give it to you. It says here, while taxi operators have announced they will be fully loaded from Monday, Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula says their decision is unfortunate and regrettable. He's just a politician. What can he do? Nothing. When the people decide to take their own action. He says he had to cancel his meeting with the industry due to unforeseen circumstances. They would have clobbered him over the head. It's as simple as that. And once again, I'm not saying that this is good or bad. I have no decision. I have no specific interest in how people feel about this, in how things are going to end up because of this, because there's no evidence before us to suggest what will happen until the evidence is there. And I like to look at evidence. It's something I absolutely love, in fact, and statistics. Until the current directions have been revised, the legal load capacity is 70% and enforceable by law enforcement authorities, he said. How are they going to enforce it? They're not allowed to arrest anyone. If it's not a Schedule 1 offense, they can arrest nobody. Nobody. So what are they going to do? Tell you that you may not drive on the road anymore. They can do that, ask the passengers to get out, but they can't arrest anybody. And that is a fact. And the courts have proven that. The courts have said that any arrest by any officers under the level 3 and 4 lockdown regulations is illegal. That's been declared by a court. So, Mr. Mbalula, you don't understand your own law that you are supposed to be bound by. Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula said it is unfortunate and regrettable that taxi operators have decided to violate COVID-19 lockdown regulations. Okay, now he's speaking the truth, but News 24 in the headline goes and puts the fake news. Do you see how they operate, how they fearmonger people? Adrian Basona, you're listening. After they announced that, they will fill their taxis to 100% capacity and up inter-provincial travel as of Monday. So they're saying they're going to cross provinces as well. The South African National Taxi Council, Santaco, and the National Taxi Alliance NTA made the announcement on Sunday afternoon during separate virtual briefings, saying government was not taking the industry seriously and that they had decided to take the bull by its horns. Now, any citizen in any country is allowed to do that because the government's supposed to serve you. So if the majority of people is not happy with what the government is doing, you don't have to follow what they're doing at all. You can just replace them, in fact. We can all march to Parliament and demand that they all resign and that we start a new governance system. This is possible. I would love to arrange a march like that, but we need people to be able to do that. The organization said Mbalula had cancelled engagements with him again and again. Well, he's obviously not up to what they want, and I mean, they can demand what they want because they're the people of the country. End of story. We are supposed to be in charge. The pyramid must be turned on its head. We are supposed to have the big flat part at the top, and then the little point is supposed to be at the bottom with a lot of pressure on it, from the top, like a lot of pressure. In a statement on Sunday evening, Mbalula said he had in fact engaged with the industry leaders last week and had committed to giving them an update, but had to reschedule due to unforeseen circumstances. Very convenient, isn't it? It is rather unfortunate and regrettable that the taxi industry leadership has elected to violate the law. Now it's violate the law again. So what is it? Is it the law or is it the regulations? It's the regulations, Mr. Mbalula. And forcefully load taxis at 100% capacity and undertake interprovincial operations without the requisite permits, rather than await a decision on the matters they have tabled, he said. Once again, we can do whatever we want as citizens of the country. Laws are there to be broken for a reason, because a law can be wrong. We decide what the laws are. Those idiots in Parliament represent us. They cannot decide, we decide. So we can throw them out anytime we want, and should. They should all be thrown out, the whole lot of them. Then we can start a new system and elect our president directly. Various people across the country, I'm sure, will rise up and we can elect them directly and decide who we want to vote in as president and who we want to vote in as independent MPs in Parliament to represent their constituencies. And we must also come up with ways of getting their butts kicked out if they don't do what we want. You know, if the pyramid is upside down, the pressure on a small little point is immense. People must be shivering in their pants to actually run for a position in Parliament, not hide behind parties where they can hide their incompetence and patheticness. Mbalula said the government had a responsibility to ensure that measures were in place to curb the spread of the virus. Has he ever seen this virus under an electron microscope? Has he? Like I said, our president, has he once shown us evidence, any evidence of this virus? I believe the virus is real, but not because of them, because of research I've done and people that I personally know involved with research. It is on that basis that a decision to allow uncontrolled interprovincial travel and 100% loading capacity on taxis has to be subjected to the collective decision making, he said. Collective decision making. You know, all the people in this country, 60 million of us, we can make the collective decision and government becomes pointless. It's that simple. Once people see this and smell the roses and actually know that we can decide whatever we want, and we can make rational decisions, we can appoint people, individuals that we can remove easily, not like the parties, to actually be our government. We can do it tomorrow if we want. If I believed there were enough people to do that, I would have done it a long time ago. I would have led you all to Parliament. We could stand there, demand that they all resign immediately, and believe me, if Parliament is surrounded by people, they will resign. We can march to their houses. There's lots we can do. And we will have a new government in no time. It's that simple. It's not complicated. It's happened lots in history. And you need no violence to do that. While we have expressed support for a review of loading capacity to 100%, until the current directions have been revised, the legal loading capacity is 70% and enforceable by law enforcement authorities. Now, what does he mean by that? What does he mean by enforceable? Does he want to go against what the High Court ruled? That it's illegal for people to be arrested under any regulations. We condemn in the strongest possible terms any call encouraging taxi operators to violate provisions of the law and promote lawlessness. When you, as the people in Parliament and the government, are coming across with illegal acts, when you have been cooped since the time of Codesa, and we're sitting with, in my mind, an illegitimate parliament and governance system that doesn't look after the needs of the people of the country, that's been fully exposed during this time, then I feel nothing for your concerns. Really, I don't. The only concern I have is for the people of the country. And you have not been able to prove to us that the 20,000 people that would have been dead from COVID-19 by the end of this month, which is nowhere near that total, because your graphs and your computer models were wrong, not just wrong, biased. Because they come from the WHO and many other idiot organizations that don't know what they're doing. It's clear they don't know what they're doing because the evidence tells us that they don't know what they're doing. The evidence. It is not hearsay or conspiracy or anything. We remain committed to taking forward our engagements and encourage the industry to ensure that any form of protest they embark upon is within the parameters of the law, he said. Spoken like a true politician. The reason why I bring you this is a point where the public, a group within the public, which is a taxi associations, have decided to do their own thing. And they are in their full right to do that. And then law enforcement can do what they believe they should do, and there can be repercussions to that. That is how a democracy works. Repercussions. So, you are allowed to break the law. Don't believe what your school teacher tells you to say you must stick to the law. That's utter nonsense. Society will hold you to account for things that put their lives under threat. And if the majority of society does not think that COVID-19 is a threat to our health, and I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but if the majority of society decides it's not a threat, they will do what they want, and the government can do nothing. Because laws are made to be broken, literally. That's why there's a legal system to deal with that. Because laws are made in Parliament. That's what they are, lawmakers. And they've gone way and beyond the call of duty in this case, based on the evidence before us now. And I've studied that evidence at length, and I will still do a video today on the ridiculous death projections that they had for COVID-19. And all the pathetic nonsense that they've served up the people of South Africa. Now that the evidence is showing their inadequacies, there's a lot of scrambling happening behind the scenes because they don't know how to get out of this right now. Till the next video.